If you or someone you know has diabetes, you may have built up an extra supply of test strips and lancets. That's where we come in. We'll buy the supplies that you don't need and resell them to those in need to prevent waste. Help us make diabetes management more affordable. Visit us at teststripswithaz.com.
All right, we have Michael Chiesa joining the program, coming off his dominant win over Diego Sanchez at UFC 239 over the weekend. Michael, how are you, man?
Doing really good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. And, man, I have to say, you just look so happy at 170 pounds. Like, you look happy, you look healthy, very strong, and it is certainly shown in your last couple of fights. How much more pleasant have these last couple of goes been compared to the others?
Man, it's been really good. I'm just enjoying the sport again. You know, I get done with these fights at 55, and I would just feel like burned out and needing to just get away from it. And now it's like, man, I was already back in the gym today getting a lift in, and I just feel good. I'm just happy. My body's really happy. You know, and the performances are showing. I think it's, for my style of fighting, I'm just not meant to cut a lot of weight. It just doesn't make any sense. And so I was just able to focus more on building myself into being like a bigger, stronger athlete. And it's really transitioning into my grappling game. So I'm really happy with the way things went. I wanted to finish, but there's a reason why I was fairly conservative with my submission attempts. I mean, Diego's resilient, and you know, every time you commit to a sub, it takes a little more and more of your life bar, and I had to give him the respect he deserved. But I'm happy with my performance for sure.
When you say that you've started falling in love with the sport again, now obviously being at 155, you were having some success there. Obviously, the weight cut was beginning to take its toll on you. When would that moment happen for you? Was it before the Condit fight, after the Condit fight, or even like heading into this one? When did that moment happen for you? You're like, man, I just want to do this all the time again.
It was when I made the decision once I made the decision to go to 170, I felt like I had somewhat of a stress off my shoulders, but then it kind of snowballed into like a bigger stress, which is like, okay, we're making a big change. We're fighting bigger guys, you know, and I'm already questioning myself, coming off of 2 straight losses. So it wasn't until like I got done with the Condit fight that I was like, wow, this is really how it's meant to be. Like, I just had a great fight week. I feel good. Like, I fought good. I didn't feel weird in the back. You know, when you go through a hard weight cut, you're just in like this fog for a while, you know? So it's like, it felt so different to like, you know, I'm fighting in the clear. I can see everything. I can feel everything. I feel good. And like, once the Condit fight got over, I was like, dude, this is awesome. Like, I'm like, this is how fighting should have been for me. And, you know, I'm very happy that things panned out the way they did at this time. You know, I'm just glad I'm still in my prime while I made this decision. And, you know, I got a good title run in me at 170. So we'll see what happens.
It's one thing to prepare for a fight, prepare for what an opponent is going to bring to the cage in terms of physicality. Diego Sanchez is just a whole other thing altogether with his mentality, the sort of spiritual and super intensity that he brings to the table. Like, preparing for that and just facing off with a guy like that, heading into that fight, what were those face-offs like standing in front of him like that?
You know, nothing really caught me off guard. I was pretty well prepared. You know what I mean? I know he's an intense guy. And, you know, believe it or not, I'm pretty fucking crazy too. I just don't show it the way he does. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not going to shake me up when he gets in my face. I had a couple people ask me, and I didn't even realize it until I talked to my coach. Like, I did a few interviews yesterday, and some people were like, man, how did you handle that face-off like before the fight started? I'm like, I don't really know what you're talking about. You know, I'm just showing the zone. I'm not even focusing on that. And I asked my coach, I'm like, why is everybody asking me about this face-off before the fight? And he's like, oh, dude, he was like trying to charge the center, and the commission was having to push him back and stuff. And I'm like, huh. Just like, with that being said, it's just like that stuff just doesn't register on my radar, dude. I'm pretty intense myself. I'm kind of freaking cuckoo as well. You know what I mean? I just don't show it as much. You know what I mean? So none of his antics even got to me. The only thing that did get to me a little bit was just all the spotlight this coach of his was getting. Because to me, I'm like, I would feel way less pressure going head to head with Mike Brown in my opponent's corner, or, you know, a high level coach. Like, it's like, that's like expected. But when you get this one guy who's totally weird, who's just like getting all these videos shown to you, and everyone's like, oh my God, like, this is a joke. I'm like, this is not a joke. I still got to fight this guy. And if this guy beats me, I'm going to go on this guy's resume. You know what I mean? Like, I cannot let this happen. Like, oh, it's like career suicide. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I just a little bit of pressure coming with that part of it, but nothing else really got to me.
Yeah, I thought the media day face-off was great because, he gave you that intense look. You turned to look at the media, and he kept staring at you. And then you shot him, like, one look at the end. It was just like, all right, man. And then you walked right off. Like, that was amazing. I thought that was great. And you are a little cuckoo. That just showed me that. But, talking about, leading into Saturday night, your performance was outstanding. I mean, that goes without saying. You were the bigger guy, clearly the more powerful guy, and you were able to pretty much do whatever you wanted to do. I know you didn't get the finish, but how would you rate your performance overall, going back and watching it, hindsight be what it is?
I mean, I would definitely I wouldn't give it an A. I'd give it like a B+. You know what I mean? I know I pitched a shutout. I did what I said I want to do. If you go back and watch all my pre-fight interviews, I said, I'm going in to pitch a shutout. I'm not going here to have a war. I'm not going here to go back and forth and play blood and guts. I said that if everybody thought this fight was going to be a war, and if, oh my God, it's going to be crazy. I'm like, I respect the guy. I know he's good, but this is not going to be some crazy fight. Like, I'm really just going to go in there and I'm going to handle him. You know what I mean? I really had that plugged in my mind, especially with the game plan and the way preparation was going. I'm just like, this is not going to be a crazy fight. You know what I mean? And so I did what I set out to do. A finish means everything. You know what I mean? And it would have been really cool to focus, or it would have been really cool to be the first guy to submit Diego, but I didn't want to focus on that. Because that's the type of stuff that'll get you in trouble. You know what I mean? Like with Mickey Gall and Craig White, it was like they all expected to finish him. And, when it didn't go their way, it went really south for him. You know what I mean? Mickey was pretty committed to knocking him out. Craig White was pretty committed to getting that submission. And both guys fell short. And so I said, I need to just stay right in the middle. I'm just going to control him. And if I can TKO him or really open him up so far and wide for a submission, I'm going to take it. But I just, at that point, pretty much going into the fight, it was like, just control him. Don't give him any space to do what he does. And so I guess I give it a B+.
Obviously, I mean, the legend status, the durability he always brings, that just insane fighter mentality that he's always brought to the table, that never say die attitude. You had him in some really bad positions, and you've heard the legends, you've seen him fight over the years. I mean, he won the original TUF, for God's sake. It's one thing to see it, but to be in there with a guy like that, doing what you were doing to him and not being able to finish, were you surprised at any point in that fight that you weren't able to finish him?
I was a little surprised in round 2. He just did good. Like, he's easy to control, but he's not easy to get to stop moving. You know what I mean? So, like, there's a few times, like, I kind of thought, like, if I get him flattened out, like, belly down, 2 hooks in, like, I'm going to keep him pinned down. And it wasn't easy. Like, I would get him in a few positions where I thought, like, oh, this is it. I'm going to clamp down, and he's going to be stuck here. But he would still find a way to move. He's flexible, but still has a certain level of spring to him where he was able to scramble out of some positions and get back to his feet and stuff like that. So that's what surprised me, is just I knew I could grapple him. I knew I could control him, but I thought that at some point I would just be able to get him to stop moving, and I would be able to really work for that TKO. But he did a good job staying moving. But I just literally watched the fight for the first time, like, right before you called me. So it's like, I'm just now kind of soaking in a little bit, kind of like seeing what happened there. And B+.
Yeah, it's just a Diego fight. It seemed to be some heat on his side. You were just kind of going with it, heading into that fight. And once it ended, I thought it was a cool moment. You guys stood up. You had that moment in the cage after the fight ended. You had some words for each other, which are, seemed to be really cool between you guys going back and forth. What did he say to you after the fight, and vice versa, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I initiated the conversation. I just grabbed him and said, I always had the respect for you. You know what I mean? Don't ever think I never respected you for a second, because I do. You know what I mean? And Diego's a guy that, he had brought it a few years ago. He had talked to me. He messaged me on Twitter asking about fighting, and it just didn't work out. So, for some reason, that kind of kept us in contact. We hung out with each other once for like a day at the 2017 Athlete Summits. We've been around the guy. And even if I never got a chance to kind of interact with him, I would still have that respect for him. I take a lot of pride in winning the Ultimate Fighter, and I have a certain level of respect for the guys that have been through the show, whether you've won it or not. So just like Diego is the original Ultimate Fighter. So my amount of respect I have for him is, it's tremendous. So I had to just remind him after the fight, because I know some of his interviews he was just like kind of making it sound like I was talking shit and I didn't respect the guy, when it's like, I know he's probably just building things up in his head, but I wanted to remind him, like, you're wrong. I respect you a ton. You know what I mean? So it was a good show of sportsmanship. We talked backstage too after the fight, so all is well, man. It was a gentleman's agreement. We both respect each other.
That's great. And what's interesting too about that fight, because there's so many storylines heading into it, and a lot of people in the media were commenting about Diego's interviews, and they were genuinely concerned for him, like concerned for his well-being. Some people were asking him after the fight, people on Twitter, stop fighting, he shouldn't be fighting anymore. Dana White was like, this guy could fight for as long as he wants, it's up to him. But in terms of what you saw, and you shared the cage with him, and you saw his durability, should we be concerned for him? Like, what is your take on all of that, being a fighter and dealing with members of the media like myself and others?
Well, here's the thing. Diego's always been nuts. So, I mean, you could go all the way back to The Ultimate Fighter. When he was on it, he was nuts. He was crazy. You know what I mean? He says crazy things. He's an outlandish guy. He goes to the beat of his own drum. You know, I think that he does still have fight left in him. You know what I mean? It's not like I hit him with earth-shaking shots. I tagged him a few good times, and he wore it well. You know what I mean? I do agree with him when he says that those weight cuts to 55. I mean, this is a guy that he looks small in there with me, but this is a guy that still won the Ultimate Fighter as a middleweight. You know what I mean? So you can imagine, even though he looks small, a cut to 55 probably isn't that great for him either. You know what I mean? And I think that could play a role in his ability to take a shot. I also think the right matchups, like, dude, that's like, you know, have him fight Damian Maia. Why not? You know what I mean? They both deserve it. They're both kind of making their way out. You know what I mean? Why not have them fight each other? I think it's time for him to – he fought a few rising prospects. You know, Damian's already saying that he wants to kind of make his way out. Let them fight each other. Put him in some fan-friendly fights. Like, you know, we just saw Clay Guida and BJ Penn. Screw it. Try to make Clay Guida Diego Sanchez too. You know, who knows? There's a lot of good fights. It's still – you'd be crazy, but there's still good fights you could have with them. I think it's just time for him to move into, you know, he won 2 fights in a row, so obviously he's probably got to step up and fight a guy like myself. But now with our fight being done, I think it's time to, like, give the guy a few novelty fights. You deserve it. You put your time in the UFC. It's not like they're giving you wins, but all right, let's give you some fights that just fit more with your trajectory of your career, your age, and just the whole picture. You know what I mean? Like, let's give you a novelty fight. I think let's put Diego Sanchez in some novelty fights, because I still want to watch the guy fight as well. You know, I just don't want to see him take unnecessary damage from younger fighters.
I agree with you 100% on what you just said there. And in terms of your trajectory, you're 2-0 in the welterweight division, beat 2 experienced guys, 2 legends of the game in Carlos Condit and Diego Sanchez. When would you like to get back in there? And what kinds of matchups are you looking at to kind of keep this train moving in the right direction here?
Well, for sure, I don't expect to be ranked after this weekend. I'm a realist. You know what I mean? It's, you know, I've already seen some backlash on the internet of the 2 guys I just beat, whatever. That doesn't matter. I won 2 fights in a row against 2 tough guys. I don't think it's going to get me ranked now, but I do think it does. I do reserve the right to fight a guy in the top 15 before the year's up. You know, I was as high as 7 as a lightweight. And I think when I left the division, I was 10 or 11, and I thought that I would kind of get a jump right into the mix at 170. The talent's the same. I mean, 155 and 170 are stacked. So I thought that I would get a ranked guy. You know, when things didn't work out and they came to me with 2 named guys, you can't say no. Just like Colby Covington said yesterday. He said on Ariel's show that, you know, it's, you know, when you feel like you deserve something, but a big name comes along, it's hard to say no. You know what I mean? A big name, it's like, it's rankings matter a lot, but do they? You know what I mean? Beating 2 named guys carries some weight. I think that I could fight a ranked guy, maybe jump into the top 5 if I win my next one too. So I'm looking to the top 15. Maybe a Neil Magny, since that was a fight that was supposed to happen. I don't know. All I know is I've fought some legends. I'm ready to get back in the mix with some of the guys that are more in my situation, my trajectory. Some young up-and-comers, you know what I mean? I'm ready to get in the mix with the guys, you know what I mean, that I should be fighting, you know what I mean? So we'll see what happens.
You have been a part of some really crazy fight weeks. The one in Brooklyn, this one was crazy because, one, you have Diego Sanchez and all that chatter going on, and you have earthquakes to boot. So what was this fight week like, and how would you compare it to others in the past?
Well, shoot. I mean, and then let's not forget the fight week I went into with a broken foot and missed weight. That was a crazy one. The Condit fight, we had to change locations. You know what I mean? Like, I've had 4 very odd fight weeks. I think that if my next fight week is normal, I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I might get nervous. Like, wow, this is going really good. This is weird, you know? Who knows? I love fighting in Vegas. I'm not going to lie. It was nice to go back there and get that win. I'm hoping to maybe fight on the end of the year card, maybe New York. You know what I mean? There's, I feel like I want to go to New York and get a fight. I was very committed to fighting there. I chose to fight there, being that I have a lot of family my family lineage kind of runs through New York. That's where my dad was born and stuff. So maybe something could work out there. I'll be back before the end of the year. Maybe I'll have a normal fight week and get another win.
Yeah, you're embracing the chaos right now, and it's leading to good things for you, which is great. To 170, 2 wins, and a great performance on Saturday at UFC 239. But I want to thank you so much, Michael, for the time. I know it's just 72 hours away coming off that win, and you just got a chance to watch it, so it was great for you to join me and check in and talk all about it. Before we get out of here, let the folks know where to find and follow you on the web, social media, anything else you want to get off your chest, shout-outs, anything like that. The floor is yours.
Oh, okay. Follow me on all my social media at MikeMav22. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I want to thank my mom. I love you. I want to thank my manager, Daniel Rubenstein. I want my rematch. I definitely want to on it. Nike Wrestling, Engage Industries, Hyperfly. The fans, everybody. Love you guys. And yeah, thanks, bro.
Yeah, congratulations, man. You just seem so happy up there, and I'm happy for you. Congratulations, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, sir.